So this talk is called Back to Basics, and I've done the PG version on the slide, but it's actually why can't we get this shit right, because we're really bad at it. So for those who don't know me, my name is Jess Dodson, also known as Girl Germs Online. You can come and see me on Twitter and hear me rant and swear even more. I am a purple-haired ex-sysadmin turned customer engineer with a focus on security and identity. So I was in the industry for about 15 years, was an identity system administrator, and then kind of fell into being a security engineer somehow. So the cranky face that I have on my very first slide is a dead set warning for the rest of the talk. Please, I'm very sorry if you feel like I'm lecturing you, because I am. I'm a little bit cranky that I keep seeing this stuff happening in the organisations that I go and visit or people that I talk to online. This stuff just isn't being done. So for some of you, maybe a lot of you, I'm teaching you how to suck eggs, and I'm very sorry about that. You might feel that a lot of this is common sense, but if it was common sense, I'd be seeing it more often, so I wouldn't be standing up here and telling you how to do it. I was really excited to see in the keynote that Casey's like, yeah, we're doing proactive stuff. We're doing like a little bit more, like we've gone from 1% proactive to 2%. Woo! So if you see dodgy practices in this talk that you are guilty of, and don't worry, I'll watch you because you'll be like, oh crap. Don't worry, you are definitely not alone. Think of this talk as a way to reaffirm stuff that you already know that's good practice. It isn't deeply technical. It isn't possible for me to be deeply technical. There's too much to get through. Just think of me as your morning security entertainment with a shitload of memes. That's my talk. Feel free to come and chat to me on Twitter or have a chat to me afterwards if you want to talk specifics about anything. Totally fine to go into it if you want to go into it further. So I've broken it down via the NIST framework. It was the easiest way to do it. Someone actually recommended I do it via the NIST one, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Most of my focus, because I'm technically a blue teamer, I think. Who here's blue team or would consider themselves blue team? Yeah, a few of you, yeah. We're the ones that, try and protect the stuff. So I focus a lot on the identify and protect side of things. There's a little bit of love for detect with a smattering of the respond and recover. So don't stress about writing this stuff down or freaking out about it, because I do have a checklist that you can print out. I've put it on my blog and I'm going to publish it as soon as I get down from the stage. So onwards. First up, we're doing identify, and I identified that we're bad at identifying things. Do you actually know what you have? Is your asset system up to date? Do you know the number of systems you have, the operating systems you're running, the patch levels, the appliances, applications that you have installed? Who here, raise your hand if you can tell me that your inventory and asset system is completely up to date and accurate? 2 people, woohoo! That's way better than I expected. So you need to do audits. You need to make sure that you know what you've got in your organisation. If you don't know what you've got, it's really difficult to be able to, A, protect your systems, because you can't protect it if you don't know about it. And if you don't know about it, how are you going to recover it? Single points of failure for tech are bad, but it's way worse when it comes to people. So one person who knows everything isn't good. Now, we have all worked somewhere, or probably do work somewhere, where this is the norm. So in my last workplace, his name was Ken. Hi, Ken. They are the repository of all knowledge. They are a walking wiki. Wiki, not Wookie, wiki. They not only... They not only know the what, but they know the how and the why, and I think that's probably more important. So managers tend to rely on them too much when it comes to meetings or architects or solutions, because they have that knowledge. So what happens when that person gets sick or goes on leave, or God forbid, leaves the company? Or even worse, what happens if you have a contractor on a 6-month rolling contract that lasts for 20 years and then the contract stops getting renewed? We need to share that knowledge. We need to give them time to write that knowledge down, so we have to get it out of their heads. We need an adequate sharing of our skills and responsibilities as well. So one of the things I see is that people tend to become an SME in something and they're like, and this is mine and I shall never share it with anyone. No, don't do that. Share the knowledge with others. The flip side of this is that everyone's responsible when there's no one responsible. So we need our business owners and our system owners to own the risk to their systems. And not just own them, but understand them. I don't just want to, yeah, it'll be fine, I'll tick the box, except when things go wrong, and then they'll blame you. So we need to write down why things are risks and why we believe it shouldn't be done a certain way. Risk registers are your friends. Please have a risk register. And we need our managers to protect their staff in regards to risks. For example, please don't blame your interns when things go wrong. Just because it was right doesn't mean it is right. So the if it's not broken, don't fix it mentality needs to change. Look, for those of you who know me, Windows Server 2003 was great for its time. Not now. If you are still running Server 2003, I'm going to get cranky at you. So we need to make sure that we are looking for efficiencies, looking for ways to innovate. I know it's a shitty buzzword, but trying to find ways to do things better rather than just sticking with the status quo. The whole just because it's always been this way doesn't mean we always have to do it that way. Write the thing. Please, for the love of God, write documentation, because it is awful to go into organisations and ask them how stuff runs and they go, It's tedious, it's boring, it's time-consuming, it's a pain in the ass, but it's incredibly important. Document everything, no matter how little importance you think that holds, you think that it might not be worthwhile for someone else, you need to write it down. If you've had to do something, document it. If you've had to change something, document it. In security breaches, this kind of information is vital because then we can work out what is legitimate versus what is not. We are really, really shit at educating our users. Really shit. We blame them for so much stuff. It is our weakest link. We need to do it in a more meaningful way than the way that we do it now. As techs, we tend to complain about our users and the stupid things that they do, but we wouldn't have as much to complain about if we were actually educating them properly. So there is no such thing in my lexicon as a stupid question. I don't care what the question is, there's no such thing as a stupid question. Let them ask questions without fear of being mocked or being patronised. Spend time with them, understand what it is that they do and how their role intersects with the technology that they're using and how you can better secure that. You're not expected to be an expert in what they do, so why do we expect them to be an expert in what we do? So now that we've identified our things, we're going to go and protect them. Okay, so when we talk about protecting our cloud infrastructure, everyone goes, "Oh, new shiny things." Please stop doing that, because all that means is you're missing all of the stuff that you need to protect back on-prem. Now, I would say that 90% of you are probably still running in some kind of a hybrid environment. At least when the organisations that I'm working with, I am yet to see anyone running pure cloud. Hybrid is the way it's going to be for a little while. It's just the way it's going to happen. So make sure that whatever you're doing in your cloud environment, you're doing on-prem. So an example from my experience, everyone's like, "Ooh, Azure AD, we've got all this funky stuff we can do." No one protects their on-prem AD and they're synchronized, which means that your on-prem AD is your weak link. If you're not securing that, you're not securing Azure AD, game over. Eat your own dog food. We're really bad at this one. So we are, without a doubt, the worst hypocrites. We will tell our users to do one thing and then we'll go and do something else. So if you are an admin of any kind, security, system, network, I don't care what kind of admin you are, you need to be eating your own dog food. If you are telling your users that they cannot have local administrative rights on their machine, you shouldn't either. If you are telling users that there are applications that they can't run because they haven't been whitelisted or they haven't been properly tested, don't go in and put exclusions for yourself to run those same applications. I don't want to come in and see users being told one thing and admins doing something different. If you expect your users to be doing it, you have to be willing, you have to be happy to do it as well. You need to set that example. And that also goes for managers. So my big one is C-levels. I don't want to go into another organisation and see a CEO with password never expires set, ever. I was going to have password 123 on this one, but I thought that was a little bit obvious. So, default passwords, insecure passwords, the same passwords. I don't understand why this is still happening. I don't understand why we're still seeing it. It shouldn't need to be said, but it does. We are still seeing it even now. I'm sure we are all aware of the password 123 issue that I am referring to, that I will not name by name. We need to make sure that we are setting correct passwords, setting correct password policies. I come from a Microsoft land, so we've got password protection in Azure, we've got fine-grained password policies. There are so many ways to prevent these issues from occurring. This doesn't just go for your enterprise either. I like that it was called out in the keynote too. This goes for your home stuff. So I don't want to see default passwords on IoT devices and printers and routers. We need to be changing all of that stuff. Particularly as an admin, you are a point of entry into an organisation. So making sure that you're securing your home network is just as important. We need to make sure that when we're having shared credentials that we're storing them in a little bit better way than we are now. So please store them securely. Use password managers. They're out there. They've been out there for a while. There are paid ones. There are free ones. There are cloud ones. There are ones that you can run purely on-prem if you're paranoid about the cloud. I don't care what you choose. Just use one of them. Something is better than nothing. Unless it's, a post-it note stuck to a monitor. So the other thing that ties into this is don't block the use of password managers. The number of organisations that I see blocking password manager usage, it just means that all your users are going to be doing is making really shitty, insecure passwords and just incrementing it by a number every time. Just don't do it. Another one with this, so we're looking at our shared accounts. I don't want to see generic shared accounts up in high-level privilege groups, ever. Just don't do it. Like service accounts. Get them out. I don't want to see a single service account in a domain admin, enterprise admin, global admin, root account, AWS root. None of them. I don't want to see a service account in there ever. They shouldn't be there. Give them the correct rights, assign them specific roles and permissions. Do not need root, do not pass go, do not collect $200. This isn't hard. We should be able to do this. Role-based access control is your friend, so please use it. Tied to the service accounts, you need to be making sure that when you're assigning permissions to not just your service accounts, but also your admins and your developers, because we all know developers want more rights than they need, you need to make sure that you are giving them the exact rights that they actually require. No more, no less. Enough that they can do their job, but not enough that they can cause damage. You need to limit their blast radius. That is the whole idea. The big one that I see with this is software that says that their account or their service account requires domain admin or local administrative rights. Just no, bad. No admin rights for you. You do not get that. The same goes for externals coming into your organisation. So as an example, I go into organisations, I want read. I don't want any write access. I don't want any of that level of privilege on my account, thank you very much. That's too much responsibility and I don't want blame for anything. Rank doesn't equal your rights. So this one's a little bit pointed, and this goes back to job -1 for me. Just because you have a high rank doesn't mean you get access to something. So just because you're a manager of an identity team or a group of system administrators doesn't mean you get the same access as the people who are in that team. So I had this happen to me. I had a manager who was non-technical say that they wanted domain admin rights over all of my domains, and I'm like, no. I fought tooth and nail. I won, thankfully, because they don't need that level of rights. The way that I like to explain it, Unless you are the person getting the call at 2 o'clock in the morning to fix that system when it's down, you don't need that access. And the other side of this is your managers need to trust their staff. So you either trust your staff or you don't. You hired them for a reason. If you don't trust them, why did you hire them to do their job? If you can put MFA on it, put MFA on it. I'm not a fan of SMS authentication or voice calls, but hey, any MFA is better than no MFA. So I want to make sure that everyone here is actually MFAing all of their accounts. And that's not just organizational accounts, that's also any of their standard accounts. Because again, you are a point of weakness into the organization that you work for. So Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Slack, GitHub, Reddit, all of those have the ability to have MFA turned on. Turn it on. When it comes to using MFA for your standard user accounts, turn it on. It should be turned on for all of your users. Now, a lot of people will get up in arms about that, but the users don't want to use MFA. Yeah, sure, fine, they don't. So look at doing what we call risk-based conditional access. Users coming in from within your organization, they're coming in on a network that you know, on a computer that's part of your domain. Not a problem, you don't need MFA. Users coming in from Romania on a machine that's got malware that you've never seen before. Yeah, I'm going to want some MFA on that. There should be more than one administrative account, okay? So if you are an admin of any system, you should have more than one account. It just goes without saying. I'm really surprised that I have to keep saying this. This is probably one of my biggest bugbears. Minimum is 2. It can be far more than that. In my last organisation, I had 5. The way that I like to split it out is you should have an account that is your tier 0. So this is your God level access, root, domain admin, global admin. It doesn't do anything else but that. It doesn't log onto computers, doesn't log onto any servers other than your tier 0. After that, you've got server admin or appliance admins. So this is the one that you jump onto for servers to do server administration work with. Then you've got your desktop administration accounts or your developer accounts. They're the ones that can do local administrative rights on your desktops. And then you have a user account. And the user account can do pretty much nothing. It can surf the web, check your email, maybe make a PowerPoint presentation, like this one. The other thing that works really well with this is using something like privileged identity management. So no user permanently has a role. They have to request that role, be given permission to have that role. It's then given to them for a set period of time, and then it's taken away. There's a log then of someone requesting it, someone approving it, the reason that it's being requested. It gives you a much better way of tracking who has done what and why. So when is a firewall not a firewall? When people keep putting any rules in them. Look, I am 100% for keeping your client-side firewall turned on. It's a good line of defense. Any line of defense is better than no defense. It gives you an extra layer of security. It gives you extra logging, which is great, except if you have an any in place, because it defeats the whole goddamn purpose. So can we remove any rules? I know we use them for testing. I know that a lot of our developers are like, yeah, it's the firewall that's broken. It's never the firewall. It's the firewall that's causing the problem. We need to turn it off. Fine, turn it off. Put the any rule in place, make sure that things are working, and then find out the exact ports and protocols that it needs. I want to see exact rules put in, no more any rules. Antivirus and anti-malware isn't just for your endpoints. As long as you make sure that your exclusions are maintained and are documented, I should be seeing this kind of stuff on servers and on mobile devices as well. The number of mobile devices that I don't see it on is really scary. So you don't want to make not just your own personal machine sick, but your server sick. I mean, it looks really sad. The number of admins as well who don't run antivirus or anti-malware on their own personal machines, because they'd never click on anything stupid, would they? No. Chances are you're also running as local admin, so chances are when you do click on something stupid, which you will, it's going to go off and do stuff on your machine. So please just put it on your machine as well. It comes back to that whole dog food thing. If you're expecting your users to have to live with it, you should be living with it as well. Encryption. If you can turn it on, turn it on. Most of the time at the moment, it's a click box or a click button. Just check the box. Say, do you want to encrypt this? Why, yes, I do. Just Click the checkbox. Application whitelisting. So it's in the ASD Essential 8, and we're not doing it yet. And I know that it's incredibly tricky, it's incredibly hard, it's not an easy thing to do. The number of applications that our users are using is varied and complicated. Some users use different things. That's fine. I totally get that it's not the simplest thing to put in place. At the same time, I think we can get a foot in the door by doing application whitelisting on our servers, because the applications that are on our servers should never be changing. And if they are changing, why? So make sure that you are doing some kind of application whitelisting on your servers, if only to, as an example, check to see if someone's installing TreeSize Pro on a domain controller to scan all of their file servers. And no, I'm not even kidding, and I've seen it in more than one organisation. I don't know what it is about domain controllers and TreeSize Pro, seriously. Flip side to this is, as part of this, you need to make sure that your admins have the tools they need in order to do their job. So you shouldn't be seeing stuff changing on servers, because your admins should have the tools to do that either on their own machine or on a jump box of some kind to be able to do their job. We should be patching. I mean, everyone's patched their Exchange servers, right? Make sure that you are checking for your patches and checking for your updates. You have to be patching absolutely everything. Do your testing, absolutely, but make sure you're applying those patches as soon as is feasible. I don't want to see any more 12-month patching cycles. It's okay, we'll do them all in a lump sum at the end. No, stop it. Do them as soon as you possibly can. And this doesn't just apply to operating systems, this also applies to your software. You need to be making sure your software is up to date. Physical security is still a thing, okay? So not everybody is in the cloud. We still have servers on-prem, and they're not always located in really nice, secure colo data centers. We just don't have that for some people. So who has access to your servers? If a bad guy has unrestricted physical access to your computer, it is not your computer anymore. Don't have servers running under desks. Make sure that they are secured in a way that you can monitor them, and make sure that they are physically secured. I have seen it happen. Remote office hit by a disaster. The doors obviously weren't working. Someone walked in and walked out with a file server and domain controller. It's not that tricky to unplug cables and just walk out with a box. So we're now moving on to the we think something has happened, or we know something has happened stage. In my new position, from a security perspective, logs is a bugbear of mine, and one of the things that I'm really quite keen on harping on and making sure that people are paying attention to. And I know that there is someone up the back who's like, yeah, we're not centrally storing them and they roll over really damn quickly. We need to be storing our logs in a way that we can look at them. So your event logs, system, security, application, whatever they are incredibly important when it comes to working out what happened and when. So it isn't just for security incidents, it's also for your day-to-day, business as usual, help desk stuff. So your event logs can be a lifesaver. You need to understand where to find them, understand what they are, and how you can read them. You need to know what's in them. And when I say centrally storing them, I also mean in a way that you can correlate between them. Slight plug, Azure Sentinel is amazing. We're finding that the logs are rolling over far too quickly. We're not getting enough time to be able to jump on and see what's happened. So an issue occurs, someone's popped, leaked credentials gone out, we know that they've logged on, but we can't actually take a look at the logs of when they've logged on because they rolled over 2 days ago. So making sure that you are centrally storing them, because when a breach occurs, and it is a when, not an if, you need those logs. And I understand that storing your logs is expensive, but it's far more expensive not to have them when a breach occurs than it is to actually store the logs at the point in time. Insider threats are still a thing. So we need to keep watch, and that makes means making sure that we're being watched. So we need to have monitoring over your security systems, not just your general day-to-day systems. It's not enough to monitor all of your user access systems. You need to be monitoring your security systems as well, because a smart attacker will know if I disable that, then hopefully they're not going to be able to see me because that's their security system. So you need to make sure from an insider threat perspective and an attacker perspective that you are monitoring those. So you've got a break glass account. You need to make sure you're monitoring for its use. You've got SIEM rules and they might change. You need to monitor for those being changed. You've got logs that you're centrally storing. You're centrally storing them, right? You need to make sure that you're logging that and monitoring those and monitoring when they're deleted or changed. People logging on to a domain controller to use TreeSize Pro. We need to monitor for that and thwack them. Fine-tuning your security systems. For the love of God, please fine-tune them. I am so sick of going into organisations where they have turned on so much stuff and it's generating so much noise that you cannot see anything. So it is no use alerting for everything, because it's just like the boy who cried wolf. How are you actually going to be able to see the signal for the noise? It's just not possible. So make sure that what is being sent through is legitimate, is actionable, you can actually do something with it. We need to make sure that we're tuning based on our false and benign positives. So there are things that are going to come through that are benign positives that we just need to say, yes, we know that's something that's happened, and yes, normally it would be an issue, but that was our admin doing something legitimate. That's okay. Don't just stand up new tools because they're shiny and new and fun to play with. The traditional approach that I've seen is get 90% of your stuff monitored. That's awesome. We've got 10% left to go. Oh, look, new shiny tool. We'll monitor the 10% with the new tool, and then we'll get 90% of that 10% monitored on the new shiny tool, and then, oh, look, a new tool, another 10% in perpetuity. Please, just pick one. Paying attention to alerts as well. So there is no point in having alerts if no one is actually looking at them. If no one's doing anything with them, what's the point in creating alerts? So we're looking at respond and recover. And I don't do a lot of this. This isn't my job. I do the identify and protect stuff, but we've got a little bit of love here. So back up all of your stuff. Anything that's considered important, anything that's considered vital, back it up. Crypto is still out there. Users are still clicking on stupid shit, and we can mitigate as much as we possibly can, but shit happens, okay? So we need to make sure that we are backing things up so that we can restore it, because when we're backing up, we're testing our backups, yeah? Yeah, everyone goes through and tests their backups, right? So it's no use to back something up if you're not actually testing the restore process, because a backup is only good if you can actually restore it. So make sure that you are testing those restores regularly. An incident response plan. Have a plan, any kind of plan. I'm so used to seeing people burying their head in the sand and going, no, it'll be fine, it'll never happen to us, until it does. So tied to this is very similar to the backups. Just like your backup, make sure you're testing this plan, because it's no use having a plan if you haven't tested it. Make sure you're updating it as well. It's no use having a disaster recovery or business continuity plan that has a contact list that's 5 years out of date and still has my contact details in there to help restore the Active Directory. There's not going to be any use. The other thing with this one is managers, when it comes to an incident, back off. Your techs are trying to do their best. They are trying to do their work. Let them do their job. Don't stand over their shoulder and watch them. Don't send them emails or IMs asking them where stuff is at. Designate a person to be the single point of contact when it comes to an incident and go through them and don't go around them. I've seen it too many times where a tech has been focused on trying to fix something with, no joke, 7 levels of management around their desk. You're not going to do any good work when you have 7 people breathing down your neck. So let your techs do their job when it comes to incident management. Everyone screws up. Everyone. It is inevitable. Everyone will screw up in their lifetime, and particularly in their job. It is totally fine. My biggest piece of advice in regards to this is to own your own mistakes. Don't try and hide them. Don't try and minimize them. Don't try and pretend it never happened. Be honest and say you screwed up. But a lot of this comes down to the organisational culture that you work in. So if your organisation plays the blame game, no one is going to want to put their hand in the air and say that they are the one who fucked up. They're just not going to want to do that. So you need to make sure that your managers are embodying that culture of your users can come forward, your techs can come forward and say that they have done something stupid. No one is going to want to work for a company where a low-level employee gets stabbed in the back for doing something stupid that should have been caught much earlier. And piggybacking perfectly off the last point, it is okay to ask for help. There are a range of different organisations out there when it comes to security who can assist you and help you. You don't have to do it alone. For techs who are in security, you have a tribe of people. You are at a security conference now. Talk to the people that you are with. Get their knowledge. Share information. If you need their support, rely on them. That's what a tribe is for. You can't know everything and you can't do it all by yourself. And in relation to that, I would like to say thanks to my nerd tribe. So a couple of people helped me out with this particular talk. So Bronwyn, who I work with, she gave me the idea for the NIST breakdown, which was very lovely. And Charlie was my very first audience member who tested my talk and went, yeah, that's pretty good. Here's a few extra things you can add in. Thank you very much as well to CrikeyCon for taking a chance on me, particularly after my last talk, which I think scared the pants off of everybody. And lastly, to my OG nerds who know who they are. So they were my very last test audience. They are awesome human beings. They sent me beautiful flowers and chocolates for my birthday. And they listened to me rant all day and every day about this kind of stuff. I couldn't have written this talk without their support. Now, this link is going to take you off to the checklist. Don't go clicking on it or trying to go to it now. It's not going to work. I haven't made it active yet. Give me a couple of minutes to get down from the stage and then I'll make it active. So this is going to give you a checklist of all of the things that I've said you should be doing. So you can use that to go, look, we're doing all these really cool things. Or holy shit, we've got so much we need to do. Or you can use it to thwack the people who need to do these things. So hopefully we can now secure all of the things. So that's my aim. I just want you to be a little bit more secure in the way you do things. A lot of this stuff is incredibly basic. It's common sense. It's stuff we should have already been doing. So please go off and do it. So this is my happy face, because you've all stayed around to listen. So thank you very much for coming and for listening to me and for not booing me off stage or looking shamefaced when I was getting cranky at you. So if you think I've missed something, and I know I will have missed something. There was so much that I could put in this talk. I could only fit so much in. So if you think there is stuff that I've missed, please do. Let me know that I've missed stuff. I'm more than happy to add it in. I want my list to be a living document. Or come and yell at me at morning tea or yell at me at Twitter. So thank you.
What Jess didn't mention there was it's actually her birthday today, right now. So we're going to do this. There's enough people in the room. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jess. Happy birthday to you. Hip hip. Hooray! Hip hip. Hooray! Hip hip. Hooray!
Thank you very much.
Happy birthday, Jess.
It's a COVID-safe candle.
It is. What?
We did pyro.
Yeah, this is CrikeyCon Pyro, yeah. Most of you probably realise that speakers, you know, they're here of their own time today, sharing their knowledge with us and their passion. What people don't see, I guess, is the lead-up that actually goes into this. Submitting to the CFP, coming up with the idea, writing the slides, going through all the self-doubt around when anyone's going to want to listen to hear what you have to say. And Jess has done all that and then turned up on her birthday kind of thing, which is a pretty big deal, I think. So another big round of applause for Jess, please. We've got a swag bag here. Does anyone have any questions for Jess? And it can be questions about birthday presents.
Lego, all the Lego.
Hello, Jess. My name is Diego. I think your talk was amazing.
Thank you.
I have just one thing that perhaps would complete the excellent talk, which is tabletops. So putting all of these security controls and principles that you shared. Sometimes we share them here in the conference, and that's great. But then how can we actually put our leaders and colleagues in a situation where they have to actually get in front of this stuff and answer some questions? And how would you react if something happened like this or like that, and they need to actually there real time respond to you as to they thought train, what would they do? So it's like and I think the format for that in enterprises is tabletops. It's like designing a little story, just a pretty story, whatever, and then throwing it at them and running that show. It's like a little micro 1 hour show where you get to see
1
them.
hour, you are very hopeful. No, I absolutely agree, and I think tabletops are fantastic, and I think that they should be. I will now include that as part of mine, so thank you very much. And I also think they need to be part of your security planning. So when you're doing your incident planning, to me, it's a no-brainer to have that as part of that plan. You need to actually include that when you're building that plan. So I would say that when you're doing your incident plans and doing your incident plan testing, it would be as part of a tabletop exercise. So that way you can run through that plan, make sure that it actually works, make sure that you've got all of the right people listed and you've covered all of your base systems.
Any other questions?
Hey Jess, great talk. It definitely felt shame a few times. It's good to hear someone say those things out loud though. My question is around some things. I'm hoping to get your thoughts on how you deal with some organizational units that love to sidestep the machine and deploy shadow IT, and how we go around the first thing you said there, helping to identify those.
Shadow IT is probably one of the hardest ones, and the reason that we end up with shadow IT is either the IT processes that we have in place are too restrictive and it's preventing usability in some way. So I think, and part of the issue that I have with security is that a lot of what we do as security professionals, we're like, yeah, tech, all the cool stuff. The tech's the smallest part. It's the people side that we really are bad at and that we really screw up at, and trying to work out what those people are wanting to do, what they're trying to do, and why they've gone around our processes in order to be able to do that. What have we missed that is making them turn to shadow IT instead of coming to us? And I think that's the biggest point, is actually getting on board with your users and getting on board with system owners, and particularly the people who are looking at implementing shadow IT, and saying, what is it that we're not doing that you need us to do in order to do your job?
Probably got time for one more.
Thank you for that. That was awesome. Your thoughts on staffing? I've seen so many in some of the organisations I'm seeing, lots and lots of policy people, not enough execution people. Could that be something you could add?
Please have security operations, for the love of fucking God. I'm so tired of going into orgs and they do have governance and risk and no one's doing security operations. I think you were saying you're security operations pretty much because you have to be. That was me in my last role as well. I was an identity administrator looking after domain controllers, and I kind of fell into doing security operations because no one else was doing it. Organisations definitely do need to take a better approach to staffing when it comes to security. They actually need to have dedicated people who are responsible for looking after that, looking after the monitoring, making sure that the systems are actually secure, rather than just the people who are setting the policies. I am seeing it being done more. I am seeing more SOCs being stood up, which is great. But it's that high-level tiered admin that I'm not seeing. So like the level 2s and 3s, we need more of those. And it's very difficult for you to do your day-to-day job as a sysadmin and do security admin to the best of your ability in both worlds. You're not going to be able to do that. So something has to give. You can only juggle so many balls before some fall.
I am shocked that you can't fix things with policy. Shocked.
Such a shame. Users don't do that. They're totally not going to do it, are they?
One last round of applause for Jess.